Welcome to Big Stick Skiing. Everyone at some moment in time has dared to dream big. Nick Smith at 6'2" dreams of sticking every water ski jump he takes. Join us as he includes you in his dream of making it big in professional water skiing. This is the Big Stick Skiing Podcast. I'm Joe Smith, and this is Nick, referred by many as Big Stick Skiing. Morning, Nick.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Good. Another great morning in Winter Haven, Florida. Water looks calm. Should be a great day of skiing today.
It looks nice. The birds are singing. And here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, northern Wisconsin, it's actually 55 degrees and raining, and the grass is turning green.
Well, it was 55 here this morning when I let Conley out at 5:30.
Oh, so similar. Yes, similar.
Similar.
See, podcasts, you have to keep speaking because, you know, that silent air.
Difference is it's already almost 80.
Yeah, that is a big difference. So this week was a holiday week, and one of my thoughts and questions I had for you immediately was, how was Easter? And when you have to work and entertain people professionally, what happens? Are holidays normal? Walk me through that. Obviously, it's your fun.
Yeah, this was my first holiday. I was a little bummed out. I wasn't home, seeing pictures from my family all together back home, but I was happy I had to work on Easter Sunday. It was cool being around everyone I'm with every day, and we had a little potluck at lunch. Everyone brought in something. It's actually a very big potluck, and that made it kind of fun. Usually on holidays, they try to get out and do a team ski. Everyone goes skis behind one boat that's working that day. There was a big crowd. It overall was a really good day.
It looked good. You sent pictures of the buffet.
Yeah, that was a good little break. Everyone had lunch together in between the first and second show. I enjoyed it a lot.
You can post those pictures on your website at bigstickskiing.com for everybody to see, but it looked good. What did you get to bring?
So I was off Saturday before Easter. I didn't get to sign the sign-up sheet for what everyone was bringing. In the morning of, I saw someone posted
coming here.
something.
Long answer. Come on, spit it out. What'd you bring?
Trying to defend myself here. I brought 2 bags of chips and a bag of candy.
2 bags of chips and a bag of candy. So
I might owe everyone one. Didn't quite hold my own.
Well, you definitely influenced everybody on their thought process of what you're going to bring next time, but you can only do better.
Yeah, only uphill from here, or downhill.
The old potluck, in Michigan now with the new laws that are passed with marijuana and things being legal, changes the whole meaning of things here in Michigan.
Yeah, not down here.
Very good, very good.
Clean state in Florida.
And it's open. So that's one thing I was going to ask you, as far as, depending what state you're in and what type of rules you have going on regarding COVID. Florida, we all know, is it feeling like things have really opened up down there and things are returning to normal?
Yeah, I've been saying that ever since I got here, first week of February. Coming from Michigan, I was a little shocked rolling into town and seeing group activity, soccer games going on the side of the road. So that was something that caught my eye immediately. I almost hurt my neck looking at it driving by. And then you go to a bar at night and it's wide open, no one's masked, not separating people or anything like that. Everything feels 100% normal.
And making a living skiing, that's a good thing for entertainers, right?
Yeah. Legoland's been, what I've heard, is sold out. I do think they are limiting how many people they're letting in, but that number is being reached almost every day.
Very good. Well, it's good that people are getting out and getting to see the ski show at Legoland on a regular basis every day, right? 3 shows a day, every day. That's what this is all about. So as we get into show skiing and talking about big stick skiing. It's pretty early yet, but are you noticing differences from when you'd ski with bad water skiers, an amateur program, versus now, crossing over into the professional ranks? What are some of those differences?
There's definitely a bunch of differences that I noticed. One of them immediately that caught my eye was with boat patterns. Everything is so precise. Drivers entering the show course right when one's exiting. There's always something going through the show course. So I guess that goes with flow as well. But at Badwater, I don't know if that's just not emphasized as much. You kind of put your skis on the dock, sit down, take off. Where here it's boat one, you're green, go, and you're through the show course. And the drivers, they're flying when they're outside the show course, trying to get you back in and get the timing correct with stuff like that. That was one thing I immediately noticed.
Do you think some of that is just because of the practice, or those boat drivers? I mean, everybody has the headsets on, I assume, and everything else, but how do they control that timing?
So there's a stage manager up in the crow's nest, and he's on a mic telling everyone, he's like an air traffic control tower, telling everyone to stand by, go. So he sees everything going on from up top and keeps the flow going.
So some advantages to just the overall setup, and obviously everybody working together for as long as you start to get to know each other every day has to make a big difference. But everything the same every time, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Patterns are always the same. Doesn't matter the driver. It's always the exact same pattern.
Got it. So are there certain things you actually miss from skiing, with Badwater and those
Absolutely.
types of...
I miss how loose it was. We'd show up on a Tuesday night, walk our skis down to the dock, BS for an hour, put our skis on, go hit the ramp a dozen times, come in, do it again. And we do that till dark almost every night. I miss that. Miss jumping with some of my best friends as well, skiing there every night, and being on the river. You can't beat the Menominee River. I really love skiing on the river.
So do you notice differences between river skiing and now that you're on a rather large lake at Legoland?
So I don't notice difference between river and lake. The only thing I noticed right away was at Badwater, there's that island that protects the show course. Mm-hmm. So it is always glass at Badwater. And here I'm on Lake Eloise, which is larger than Lake Antoine for the local listeners. And if there's any kind of wind direction, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is check the wind direction, because that kind of dictates how the day of skiing is going to be. They have that big tire line that runs across, kind of protects the show course. Sure. But without that, I think skiing would be impossible.
And when I was down there, I was actually thinking that tire line was for the boats to come up and park on, but it has more meaning than that, which is the...
When we went to the show, we used it for that and brought a cooler.
But really, it breaks
enjoyable.
Down, you said, right?
Yes, protects the water within the show course. Acts as that island at Badwater.
So when you were before Legoland, you had to buy your own equipment, your jumpers, everything like that, and you used them in the shows typically because these amateur shows aren't always well funded and always looking for help in that department. So at Legoland, how's that work? Do you actually use their skis, your own, or is there a difference?
So at Badwater or amateur clubs, Badwater does have team jumpers and skis, but a lot of us ended up buying our own jumpers because we knew it was something we wanted to do for a long time. I bought a pair a couple summers ago. I love jumping on them, and I brought them down here. I plan on using them and doing a lot of skiing. And first day at Lego, they gave me a pair of sticks and told me to use these, which is nice because hitting the ramp as many times as I get to a week, month, year, it wears on those skis, and they are pricey, hard to find, and I don't want to be blowing out my own skis.
That's fascinating. I've never thought about wearing out a pair of jump skis, but that's what you're saying, right? Actually wear down.
Yep. When I was back home, I rubbed the rail off of the first pair of jump skis I had and went over to Perk's house. We JB welded it back together, patched up a bunch of holes, and just trying to make the longevity on those things as long as possible.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Yep. Not cheap at all.
So one of the things you had mentioned this week is slumps, right? So you said you were experiencing a slump. So how do you deal with that? Are there techniques to try and get out of it? Do you switch your skis around or wear some clothing that's different or a different glove, or what are you doing to try and get out of a slump? So describe the slump and then things that you've tried to change that slump and turn it into a positive.
So last week when we talked, I was at an all-time high, feeling as good as I've ever felt skiing. And literally the next morning, I had a fall on the show, and it was like I couldn't land a jump after that. Went on for like a week, and I just had zero confidence hitting the jump. It was like I'd never done it. So I didn't really know what to do. I usually get in one of these every August. And what I would do then is just hit the ramp as many times as I could to try and jump my way out of it. So I started doing that, and I was like getting worse. I kept landing on my butt. I was on my heels too much. Knew what I was doing, but I just couldn't correct it. So I went out with a couple friends and a pair of shorts and a life jacket to force myself to get on my toes. I did not want to be landing on my butt in a pair of shorts for obvious reasons.
For those skiers out there listening, you know those obvious reasons.
Yeah. So I went out in a pair of shorts and took a set and kept my butt dry for the most part. And I did that for a couple days in a row and seemed to correct things. And I think it was more of, I'm out of my own head when you're out there in a pair of shorts. It was the first time I've skied in shorts, I think, in years. I've always put my wetsuit on. So it's kind of fun. I was giggling and everyone was kind of laughing about it.
So you change up what you do, how you do it, and you get through it, right? You go out and fix it and get it out of your head, because usually a slump typically is in your head. And when you think of a slump when you're skiing, club skiing, you have some time to get over that. When you're skiing down there 3 shows a day, I mean, it's pretty important that you don't fall. So obviously that has to kind of worry you or even get deeper into your head, correct?
Yeah, so I start thinking about it more. It's like, yeah, you're getting paid to do this. The expectation is you're not going to fall on something, especially when you've done it a million times. It wasn't something new that I just learned, So you only have a jump set or two in between a show to go try and correct this. Then you have to go do it in the show. So it was in my head for a week. I was sitting on the dock thinking about it, like, oh, I got to jump this show, and already in my head before I even put my skis on.
So talk to me about how they choose what acts you're in and how many acts are you in? Like, how do you progress with that team? Somewhat the same thing every day, or do you change it? Or do they change it?
So a lot of it, our manager posts the schedule right when we walk in the morning, and it has all the acts we're going to do for the 3 shows that day. Sometimes they change throughout the day just to keep the day exciting. But how they choose is just on who's there. Like sometimes we only have a guy that can drive 1 boat, or a couple guys can drive all 3, but a few guys can only drive the 3rd boat, which only has a couple show passes. So they pick on that, and then who's good at what, who's comfortable at what. Like I'm a crappy barefooter, so I haven't barefooted in the show yet. But my buddy Matt Strode is a phenomenal barefooter, so he gets that almost every day. Which he's really pushing at me to get better at barefooting, because no one likes doing that 3 times a day.
Right. So is there requirements to start upping your game in areas that you're not as strong?
Yeah, my manager's constantly pushing me, trying to get me to go take a barefoot set every day, or if not 2. So my barefooting has definitely improved since I've been here. The show course at Badwater, like I said, always glass, short. And the only barefooting I really do is twice a week, right through the show course, 100 yards and let go. So pretty much anyone can hold on that long. And that was about as good as my barefooting was. I was holding on, my eyes were closed. I used to take a big breath at the step off and hope it held long enough to make it through.
Well, you seem to do a lot of bad water skiing up here with the club as far as out of two. Um, I would, I thought you were doing tumble turns at times, but I think it was you never came out of
That
those
was the
rolls.
old, yeah, that was the old take a deep breath and hold on to the end strategy.
Does anybody do a tumble turn anymore? That's what I used to do way back when.
I haven't seen one. I saw Caleb Harrington do one on the river on a boom once. Just screwing around was the first one he tried, and he spun around and stood back up. Other
We'll
than
have
that,
to
I think that was the
you need to ask.
only one I've ever seen.
We probably will need to ask the guys from the ski show if anybody does tumble turns anymore. I'm sure they know what I'm talking about, but I haven't seen one for years.
I'll
That used to be a
I
normal thing.
will I'll get a video of someone and put it on the Big Stick Instagram page.
Perfect.
We'll get a tumble turn up there, and it will not be from me.
The old tumble turn. So we talked about slumps. We talked about learning new things in the show. So that leads me to thinking, have you found a mentor? Is there somebody within the club? It's probably plenty of them, right? You can come up with, but what does that look like? Do you try to attach yourself to somebody that's doing a lot of great acts and learn from them? I mean, obviously they know how to get out of slumps. They know how to do things. You have kind of all that expertise now right in front of you and surrounding you. How does that work? And have you have you have you actually selected somebody that you kind of pay attention to?
Yeah, there's phenomenal skiers everywhere I look in Winter Haven, not just at work. But I don't think I've selected a guy and said this is my mentor. But my buddy Pete Haggerty is one of the best overall water skiers I've ever seen. He's also my age. I hang out with him almost every night, and we talk skiing, talk about what we did at work that day. And he's actually the one that was kind of working on me working with me initially on my barefooting. So me and him went out almost every morning and took a barefoot set, and he would coach me up. I've watched him coach up his roommate Matt every day. Matt is getting real good on the sky ski, and Pete, he's all around skier, can flip that thing, and he's been coaching Matt up a lot on that.
And how long has Pete been on there skiing?
Pete, I think, got here 3 years ago. He's from Maine. Skied for the main event or the main attraction water ski show. His parents were SeaWorld skiers.
Oh, wow.
They're actually down here right now, so getting to know them pretty well. So he came from a skiing family as well. He came down, I think, after his freshman year of college, had a tryout and was hired. Then he left and went to Japan for 2 months and ended up coming back, and he's been skiing here since.
Wow. So a lot of history with Pete and skiing, and sounds like the perfect person to watch technique and to learn from and to improve yourself. So we need to get Pete on here just to talk about his experiences and how he kind of came up for the ranks. So we look forward to getting Pete Haggerty on the Big Stick podcast in the near future. Free time. So obviously doing a lot of skiing. Do you ski on your open days as well?
I haven't yet, just because my only friends are the people I ski with, and usually when I'm off, they're working. So we haven't put a boat in or anything to go ski. And we were talking apparently in September, Legoland has dark days where they close the whole park down, and everyone's off. So on days like that, we'll go out on the water.
So at this point, no skiing on the water on off days, just floating on the water on off days, enjoying the weather.
Maybe I've done a few days like that where I've taken the pontoon to the show with a full cooler.
So one of the great things you said last time, I think we were talking about goals, and one of those main goals is to become consistent with everything you do, and that consistency is always has to be measured. And so when we spoke last time, your goal was 100 consecutive jumps without falling, and it sounds like everyone tracks that. Unfortunately, the day we spoke, you had just fallen, so you were at 25 down to 0. And so I have to ask, after 1 week of jumping and skiing, what is that magic number today?
Yep. So we committed to discussing the magic number every week. The current magic number is 1. So coming out of the slump, I think so I was off yesterday. I think I hit the ramp in the third show and got from 0 to 1.
And just so everybody knows, I do not ask what that is before the show. So it's news to me as well. Back to 1. That's hard.
Yep, that is tough. And next week when we have Pete on, we can talk about his little streak he went on.
So I was going to mention that streak was well over 100, I believe.
Well over 500.
Well over 500 consecutive jumps, and even the best of the best at times have come up short. And it's not necessarily just because lack of concentration, but you guys, like you mentioned before, deal with weather and waves, and a lot of different things can throw you off, and you can't avoid
weather,
it.
waves,
okay.
And the guy next to you. I tackled Hunter Hansen a week ago. A lot of people in the ski industry will know that name. I landed on my butt, went flying across the wake, and tackled him. He wasn't very happy with me, but I think we're through that now.
Okay, I never considered that. So you actually took him out. He landed near you didn't, and so that counts?
Nope.
I mean, it counts as a fall for Hunter.
Yeah, counts as a fall. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, what happened? There must be some. I don't know what happens in the locker room after that. The like race car on NASCAR where you get out of the car and you go look for the guy and fists are flying.
So that's actually a funny story. Pete was actually our driver for that show. Or no, Pete was our pickup driver. And I tackle Hunter, so we're both laying there in the water. And Hunter's just looking at me appalled and shocked. And Pete comes and picks us up. And Hunter was so mad at me. He wasn't looking at me in the back of the boat or talking to me. And I looked at Pete in the mirror, and he had sunglasses on. And he was sitting there trying to keep a straight face because the tension in the boat was so high. And after we talked about it, or a couple weeks after, I guess, me and Pete kind of laughed about it. And haven't talked about it with Hunter yet, but I think we're through it. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. That's tough.
That was the fall that started my streak of bad jumping.
Oh, so karma, I guess they call that, right? It came back to get you.
Yes. Yeah, I earned that one.
So, one other thing you have coming up, and we mentioned it last time, you have a tournament this weekend. So on your free days, you also do some things outside of Legoland.
I'm off. My next day off is Saturday. I'll be jumping in the All-American tournament. Tyler Berglund, I think he's 10 years old. He reached out to me and asked me to jump with him, his brother Brett, and one of his buddies. So Saturday the 10th, we'll be down Lake Silver at the All-American, jumping together in team jump. And then after that, I'm assuming I'm going to jump in freestyle.
So interesting on skiing with younger guys. I mean, this is the Big Stick Water Ski podcast, and that means you're big stick. You're big. There's not big and developed. So
yeah, I think
with speed, all those things. What happens? Are you a little nervous about that?
Yeah, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to help them. They're going to be helping me. Tyler, I think, hits the ramp, and his buddy 10 miles per hour less than what I usually do. And other than riding over the ramp, that's a tough speed to do anything for a guy my size.
So
if the water really soft.
If this podcast and you're in Winter Haven, Florida, that might be worth heading down to see some of that jumping. Like, how does a 6'2" guy go off a ramp with a couple of younger fellas? That might be
I think
fun.
it'll be pretty comical. I'll have videos posted. I'll be there all day with my Instagram page. Come by, say hi. And afterwards, I'll have some stuff up on the website from how that went, and videos and pictures, and maybe a win for Tyler.
There you go, big win. And Tyler's dad, Eric Berglund, won't even be there, will he? Is he working?
He's a part-time guy at Legoland, and that's his one day this month where he has to go work, and he couldn't get it off.
So if you're unable to see this podcast, although Big Stick is putting it up on his webpage, the video version, it might be hard to believe that yesterday Big Stick was taking pictures with what was it, for skiing or for paddleboard?
Yep, it was a paddleboard for Conley. They needed a larger guy, so I went out there and showed off their large paddleboards.
So modeling.
And it was with another friend, and then it was a tube shoot, so I drove boat after for a couple hours.
They're looking for a big guy. It happened to be your day off, and they found you to do a little modeling on the side.
Yep, they found me, of all people.
A lot of sunscreen and flexing of the muscles, Big Stick.
Yep, I kept my shirt on, saved everyone.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing those pictures, and maybe this is the start of something. Once again, just go to bigstickskiing.com, and if you need a bigger model, here's your guy.
I'm your guy.
Now, one thing we don't mention, I see you have the shirts on, but you're a fan of the Milwaukee Brewers, and the season has started. Exciting first game.
Yeah, it was. I've been fortunate enough to catch every game so far, and that first one sure was fun. I watched it right here. I jumped up and stuck my hand through the ceiling fan.
Well, unfortunately, after the first game, things have turned into what we talked about before, a slump. And maybe
unfortunately, the Cubs beat them last night.
That's right. Right down the road in Chicago at Wrigley Field. I was listening to that game as well. No good.
Yep.
We had a fire. We listened to a little Cubs Brewers, and yeah, the outcome wasn't what we were hoping. What about the NCAAs? Did you catch that?
Caught the tail end. I had a tough time watching all year. I don't know why I couldn't get into it. Maybe because my team sucked, but wasn't as interested. I actually had more faith the Brewers were going to come back than I cared to watch the tournament last night.
Well, and the lead from the beginning wasn't a big lead. How about that? How about that train coming by?
Yeah, a couple times a week that thing comes by.
There we go. Well, that's it for this podcast. Big Stick, Nick, we're going to have to say goodbye for now, and we can't wait to check in next week. And good luck with that tournament. It's going to be a good one.
Yep. Thank you. We'll have Pete on next week, and we'll see you then.
All right. Catch Nick on bigstickskiing.com, Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify, where you can hear this podcast. Until next week, talk to you soon. Have a good week.